This is a message for my friends at Jubilee, with some really positive things I want to say about my 16 years at Jubilee. I know I've said some harsh things, quite harsh things, about the process of Amy getting fired. I don't want to go back into all that right now. But I'm in South Texas. Right now I'm in McAllen, Texas, and have been on the road for 3 years. The first year was started March 28th of 2020 when the COVID shut down Asheville. And I spent a full year rambling around the high mountains of western North Carolina, which was quite an adventure, with my chubby little Chihuahua Pancho, aka Panchita, who many of you would remember because she came to church with me all the time. And I would drop back into Asheville periodically during that time. But then May 28th of 21, Pancho and I left western North Carolina because in April, on the same day, in the Big Ivy National Forest east of Barnersville, we had some new plant came out and we both got violently sick. And I finally decided, geez, I thought I'd spend the rest of my life out here in the high mountains of North Carolina, but I can't. So on May 28th of 21, we hit the road, and I've been traveling ever since. Little Pancho died, very unfortunately, in New Orleans. Quite tragic, and some of you knew about that because we had huge medical bills at the emergency hospital where she languished for 4 days and then died. And a bunch of you actually chipped in to help. In 13 hours, I raised $1,700 on Facebook to pay for her medical bills. And then she was not replaced, but 3 days later she was succeeded by this spectacular, loving, athletic 2-year-old, 1-year-old then, 2 now, hunting dog Magic. And the name Magic was obvious because Pancho's presence had been so strong in the van for my 3 days of intense grieving. And once she brought Magic to me in a dark swamp where he had been abandoned, she left. She didn't stick around then. I've spent 10 months in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas here. I never would have chosen to spend 10 months in Texas, but some of it has been quite wonderful. Amazing beaches and great people. And here in the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley, 90% Latino, and I love Latino people. But I've been here that long to try to get all my documents in order to go to Mexico, because when I left North Carolina, it progressively became obvious that my goal from 12 years before, something like that, of moving to Mexico was really the right idea and what I need to do. And the plan now is I've got my documents as much in order as they're ever going to get, and I have some optimism about successfully crossing the border into Mexico. I actually did that 2 weeks ago. Got across even though my plates are expired and there's no way to get them current, but they just didn't look. Then I had 2 unsuccessful trips, but nothing bad happened. I just got turned back. So I have some strategies, and I'm pretty optimistic about getting across. And friends to go see in Mexico, and a whole life to live down there. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, in a little town of Los Fresnos, this last Sunday, I went to church to a place where I had been 2 months before that. And it was very lovely. The church, the Community of Christ, the Los Fresnos Community of Christ. And if you want to look up the denomination, it's a smallish denomination, but with such great values. Oh my God, it all really aligns very closely with Jubilee. COF. COF. I think it's COF. I'll put a link to it here. The website is beautiful, and the little community in Los Fresnos were gorgeous people, and I had a great time. they did a dialogue service where the minister threw out some very provocative questions like, what do you believe? What's your spirituality? And what a conversation there was. But afterwards, chatting with a couple of people, someone who I had liked from the things she had said in the dialogue said very casually that she doesn't like animals. And, you know, those of us who come out of a creation-centered spirituality background, which I got so steeped in at Jubilee, that's blasphemy. You know, how can you love God and not love God's creation? It's like saying to your mother, you know, I'm pretty great and interesting and all that, but the rest of your kids, I don't think very much of them. I was shocked, and I love animals so much. Have my 3 years of being in nature, in the mountains and in the country and on the beaches, and with such spectacular dogs that I adore so much, I was shocked. And I had gotten so opened up from the conversation there, because loneliness has been a big deal for me on the road. And it was such amazing connection with people, and such beautiful heart things got shared, that I was wide open, and I really reacted very violently to such an ugly statement. And I kind of probed with her, but she just kept doubling down. No, that's not a hang-up or anything like that. It's just a preference. I just don't like animals. And at one point I said to her, well, you can't get to God that way. And that made no sense to her at all. I said, God is oneness with all of life, and you're cutting off an awful lot of life there if you think human beings are the only beings that are worth anything. So it's caused me to think a lot in the last three days, I guess, since then, about creation-centered spirituality. When I went to the country, I immediately got clear that nature is God, and the energy of nature, from being so immersed in it, the energy, the vibration of nature is palpable to me and has been teaching me. So I did what I call the love letter to that community, a little 8-minute tape yesterday, Monday, that I'm going to send to them. And I say to them that, gee, I hope in your services, as you dialogue and stuff, maybe you could talk about all this, about, is it a harmless preference to not like animals? So, thank you, Jubilee, for leaving me so grounded, so completely clear about the value of creation. Because I grew up Catholic, Roman Catholic, and we didn't get it there. We were original sin, and that Fox's original blessing. So that's a really great memory of Jubilee and an appreciation of that whole orientation. And I want to thank you all for being my fellow travelers as we went down that road. Okay, wish me luck. Thursday, day after tomorrow, I'm planning to cross into Mexico.